Being a people pleaser as a healthcare provider is unacceptable. You can't do that. Welcome to the Spit It Out podcast. This is where we ask the hard questions about life, dentistry, and healthcare. I'm Meg, a registered dental hygienist who loves to brush, floss, and spit out the truth. Welcome back to Spit It Out with Meg. I'm your host, Meg. Today we're going to be talking about a work-life balance and how I make everything balanced. Because I work a lot. I do. As much as I say I don't work a lot clinically, I work a lot on my social media, and it's a full-time freaking job, guys. Like, at this point, I haven't logged all of my hours on social media, but I think I'm at a solid, probably 20 to 30, maybe 40 a week. I'm not really sure. Yeah, it's a lot. And the thing is, when it comes to doing social media, is that you kind of have to separate it from your life. And same with, you have to be able to separate clinical work from your home life. An underrated topic that I think is super important that we chat about is separating work from life, whether it be social media work, online gigs, or honestly just being in the clinic talking to patients. When I first started being a hygienist, I would take a lot of stress I had from work home, and I think I was just kind of ingrained in me from being in dental hygiene school for so long to just stress about everything going on in clinic at home, which naturally when you're in school, your life is school. So everything is at home, at school, etc. But when you're in the real world, it's super important to recognize that you don't have to bring that all home. You can leave it at clinic. The other thing that can be really tough is if you don't get along with your coworkers, or you don't like your manager or the dentist you work for very much. That stress can also come back home and create a stressful environment for you, which I highly do not recommend that. I'm not saying to not talk about your spouse or your significant other or to your friends about what's going on at work, but I'm saying I wouldn't want you to go to sleep thinking about stress from work that you're going to have to deal with tomorrow, maybe for like 30 seconds, but then drop it. Don't let work consume you, because it will if you let it. I had some stressors at the first hygiene job that I worked at for 2 years. There was a lot of less like petty drama going on. And honestly, as a 22-year-old, I was kind of like wrapped up in it mentally, because that's just where I was in terms of maturity. And the office that I worked for just had a lot of stupid drama. And so I would listen to it, and some of it would make me really upset. So I would listen to it, of course, and some of the things would actually upset me. And so I took it home with me. And that just led to being stressed at work and then coming home and still being stressed, which is not a great combination. Also, just getting to know how I flowed as a hygienist, how I worked best, how to talk to patients was really difficult at times. When you first graduate, everything is so new and can be really stressful and overwhelming for the first few weeks. I think for the first few months of my hygiene job, I just really took everything home. When I was in school, I didn't have a whole lot of hobbies outside of the classroom, but that quickly changed once I discovered that, wow, I have free time after work. I don't have to come home and just not do anything. When I came home and didn't have anything to do, I would kind of just sit with my thoughts a little too much, and I had nothing as an outlet, if that makes sense. I exercised in hygiene school, but I didn't really choose an exercise class until I graduated. The first exercise class that I did that I really liked to do after work was called Bar. It's actually called Bar 3. It's a chain, and I highly recommend trying it if you have not. It's a low impact, can be high intensity workout. There's a bunch of different types of bar classes you can do, but bar 3 was really special to me because it was just like the first bar / Pilates type class I've ever done. It really works on functional strength, and so that was really great because it translated directly into my job. I learned how to develop a stronger core. I learned how to slow down, track my breathing, etc. And I still use a lot of the tips and tricks that I learned in bar in my daily life and in my other workouts. So after about a year of bar, I wanted to try something new. So I tried cycling, and now I do a cycle class about twice a week, which also focuses on your breathing, tempo, strength, endurance, and core work. I also weightlift. So after work, I'll usually go to the gym or I'll take a cycle class, and it really just helps my mind relax a little bit. I'm not thinking about work anymore. Once I clock out, I'm clocked out. If it was a tough day, sometimes I'll talk to my husband about it or like a friend. Or I guess that's kind of it. That's all I talk to. But it's not that often. I went from a really high intensity corporate office to a really slow private office. So the dichotomy of my two different lives at these offices is completely different. It's completely different structure. And that has helped me as well because I really don't have a lot of stressors. There's no office drama. Every once in a while, like something will annoy me, but it's really not that big of a deal. It's nothing that's annoying me so much to where it's disrupting the flow of my daily life, which is super important. I think a red flag in dental hygiene that's overlooked, and maybe dentistry in general, honestly, maybe healthcare in general, is if you come home and you're still thinking about work or people you work with and it's bothering you and like kind of ruining your day, that's not a good thing. That's not normal. If you're also so overworked that you're seeing so many patients and you're miserable and exhausted and your body is actually hurting, that's also not good. A lot of people don't really take care of themselves like they should. And that's another reason why I work out after work, is because I'm not just working out for aesthetics or something. I'm functionally working out so that I can do my job properly. I can help patients without being in pain, and just longevity. I want to be alive as long as possible and just take care of myself. So if you are a hygienist, I would highly recommend doing some sort of classes after work, or go strength training or functional weightlifting, even with a trainer. All of those things are great for you in general, but it's just really great to apply all of the knowledge from these different classes and techniques all in one and just make sure you are the healthiest version of yourself. And like I said, any exercise, even if it's walking after work, that repetitive motion going back and forth with your feet or cycling or running, anything like that can also help you process your day, especially if you're having a tough one. Even emotionally, let's just say you didn't have a tough physical day, but emotionally you were drained. Just doing that repetitive motion is similar to like an EMDR therapy session where it's using rhythm and tapping in a way, and back and forth eye motions is kind of what they focus on, but it's still that bilateral movement. It's really good for you. And it's something that, I've never done EMDR, but I've chatted with a lot of people about it, and therapists that I've heard really do want you to move your body and just work out a little bit, even if it's just walking. Also, going to therapy is something that I do, and I've actually just stopped going to therapy because I feel like I'm actually mentally okay. Like I'm in a good spot right now. I actually go to therapy more for preventative purposes than restorative aftercare purposes, if that makes sense. I'm one of those people who's like, if I feel like I'm a little unstable mentally and I'm not feeling too good, I'm going to go see a therapist. Because it's nice to have one in case something crazy is going on in your life, just almost on call, and you can call them up and be like, I need to talk right now. Or, if you notice that you're seeing one pretty often and you always have things to talk about that are bothering you, that's a really good sign to just keep going. But after you get to a point where, like me, I was going and I was like, I don't really know what to talk about. I really don't. And it was a couple months of that, I realized, oh, maybe I'm okay. But here's the thing. I can always go back to her and we can always start our sessions again. She kind of knows my life and she's there for me, which is awesome. So in a lot of traumatic, busy moments of my life, I've had this therapist, and it's been really nice to just have someone to talk to that's not a family member or a friend or a coworker about things going on in your life, so you can kind of process it through words as well. I mentioned earlier something called EMDR therapy, and like I said, it uses a lot of touch and sight and just bilateral movements from what I've heard. But also, even going on a walk while you're on a therapy session can kind of be another sign of just processing with your body, moving left, right, walking, processing. After therapy, also going on a walk can help kind of calm down those emotions and just let you like chill a little bit. I'm not a licensed therapist. This is just some techniques that I've acquired throughout the years. So if this helps you, I hope it does. If it doesn't, that's okay too. With all of that said, therapy and exercise I do think are interchangeable. I think you can do them together. You can also do them separately, but I do think they work best when you are exercising consistently, taking care of yourself mentally, because if you're not mentally healthy, typically you're not physically taking care of yourself. And if you're not physically healthy, sometimes your mental isn't there. So they really do work together. I hope that makes sense. Let me know what you think. Something else that I've just kind of had to acquire throughout the years is honestly just mental toughness. There's going to be some patients that make you feel like your day is ruined and make you feel like the worst healthcare provider on the planet. But it's not true. You are not the worst healthcare provider on the planet. Sometimes, just like relationships, people just don't click. And sometimes you're also just not destined to make everyone happy. I've said this in my last solo episode, but honestly, I will proudly say that I am not the hero in everyone's story. And that's okay. There's some people that other people love in this world that aren't my favorite people in this world. And that's okay. That is fine. You're not going to make everybody happy. If you expect to make everybody happy, and I'm talking your bosses, your coworkers, your patients, you are going to be in for a lot of trouble. Trust me. People pleasing at work is one of the hardest things to overcome, especially people pleasing in real life. If you're doing both, let's go back and find a therapist. Let's work on this, because most of the time people pleasing is because something else is going on in life that we need to resolve. We need to figure out why you're people pleasing. Getting over that people pleasing hump is going to help you be a better healthcare provider too, because if you aren't sitting there pleasing the patient, just telling them what they want to hear, you're probably going to help them more. Human RDH, her name is Bethany on Instagram. She made this really great video the other day that resonated with me, and honestly I've been thinking about it for a while. There's a difference between being popular and being influential. I would much rather be a less popular dental hygienist, but more influential. What I mean is, I am less worried about if someone likes me. I don't take anything at work personally. It's all business in my brain. With patients, with coworkers, with my boss. Doesn't matter. I've had patients that have been really upset that I've told them that they have gingivitis, periodontal disease, decay, whatever. I don't take it personally, because I like to tell them, I am just a messenger of what's going on in your mouth. I did not do this to you. I am not causing this. I am just letting you know so you know what you want to do with it. I'm going to give you options. I'm going to tell you how to fix the issues and prevent them from happening again. You can take all of this information, do with it what you want, come back or don't come back, because no matter what, if you come back, I'm still going to be here and I'm still going to provide you the same amount of care that I did last time. But if you'd like to see a hygienist who likes to just sugarcoat things, that's not me. I'm not going to sugarcoat everything, because that's just not who I am as a hygienist. This is Megan from the future talking. This segment, I am very passionate about having thick skin and standing up for what you believe in, because at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for your patient and what's right for you. I want to recognize that I am not mean to my patients. I know that some patients struggle with mental health, and I do adjust my passion and my fierceness as a hygienist depending on the vibes I get from the patient. I'm just saying this generally, so please take this with a grain of salt. I do recognize that people do need gentleness and kindness, but at the same time, I also want to put on the table that you can be gentle and kind, but not lackluster in the information that you provide to patients. That is all. Love you guys, and let's go back to the podcast. I would rather make someone upset and maybe stressed out if there's a problem in their mouth that they need to take care of, because usually 9 times out of 10, even this last week, I've had patients come back and be like, our last appointment, it was a lot, but everything looks great now. And I've told them, I'm like, yeah, I mean, your gums look super healthy and everything looks good. So I'm really proud of you. Sometimes it just takes getting over that hump. And also it takes patients having thick skin too. I think once patients also realize that you're not doing anything to hurt them, you're not trying to give them anything other than just education and trying to help them, that also can increase compliance and reappointments so much. And that's a good feeling. Once you start working and you start getting patients' feedback and they start coming back to see you and you see your own work months later, it makes a difference, because you can judge your own work and be like, ooh, I didn't do very good on that, or ooh, I did a really good job. Even with communicating, like I said, you're not going to make everyone happy. You're going to mess up talking about periodontal disease and gingivitis and decay. I still do sometimes, but you get in a flow after a while and it becomes less personal in your brain. It should, at least. Some of that was kind of a ramble, so I hope that helped you, but I just want to let you know that you as a provider do have to have a little bit of thick skin. You're not going to make everyone happy. But being a people pleaser as a healthcare provider is unacceptable. You can't do that. Some patients are not going to like that you tell them they have gingivitis. And some patients are really not going to like that they're the ones who gave themselves gingivitis. And I don't say it like that. Of course, I sweeten it up a little bit, but I still get the same message across that your lack of care to your gums and mouth, this is what happens. I rarely get a patient who doesn't like me as a hygienist, but I do sometimes. I think I have like 2 patients right now, maybe 3, that I just know on the top of my head that are probably not super excited to see me again. But here's the thing, they keep coming back. I don't know why, but they still do. They haven't complained to the dentist about me, so that's a good thing. But even if they did, I would hope that the dentist that I work for would back me up. And if not, if your dentist doesn't back you up and makes fun of you or like disagrees with you in front of a patient, that's weird. That would probably lead to a lot of stress and probably some red flags. So I know we talked about a lot of things, but let's do a little review and just kind of backtrack a little bit. Separating work from life. Getting a work-life balance is essential, especially as a healthcare provider who works with people all day. Exercise is crucial for a long career, long life, and better mental health. Taking care of your mental health with therapy, talking to friends, talking to family will also help you take care of yourself physically and just keep you around a little longer. If you recognize that you are a people pleaser, I would highly recommend seeing a therapist, just chatting to a third party who has no affiliation with anyone in your life about where this comes from. My people pleasing came from some childhood trauma that I dealt with growing up, and honestly, I still struggle with it sometimes, but I have gotten so much better. The last 8 years, I've really tried to improve this because I do not like being a people pleaser at all. I don't like kissing people's asses and either. I feel like even on social media, I see a lot of people like kissing ass, and I know that's kind of, sorry for the profanity, but I just feel like I don't need to do that. I want to be liked and appreciated for who I am, and I don't want to beg for attention from even like big creators or something. I just don't want to do that. It's just icky to me. I do think like kissing ass and stuff like that is kind of also part of people pleasing that I just want to distance myself from. And I think you should too. I don't think you should beg for anyone's attention other than your own. You need to give yourself some attention so you can take care of yourself. Aiming to be more of the influential hygienist versus the popular hygienist, I do think is a great goal that all the new grads that are listening, and honestly anyone who's listening, it's something that really impacted me. So thank you to the Human RDH for talking about that. If you haven't tried a workout class, I highly recommend it. If you're interested in functional working out, I would do bar or Pilates. If you want a more high intensity but low impact exercise that's like really fun and just like kind of crazy sometimes, I would do a cycle class. There's a couple different chains. There's Cycle Bar, there's Ride Tribe, and there's probably some other ones I don't know, but I love cycling. It's amazing. It's like transformed my body and I just feel like I'm so much healthier, especially my heart. But honestly, having any hobbies outside of work, I think that's amazing. Most people that I know who do not have hobbies after work aren't as happy, in my opinion. It doesn't even have to be like a hobby that you pay for. You could paint, you can sew, you can take walks, like there's so many ways that you can separate your work life from your home life and just make it something to where when you get off work, you have something to look forward to. Hang out with some friends, journal something down if it's on your mind, or type it on a note. Sometimes if I feel like I want to be passive aggressive, I'll just write it in a note on my phone, like a text, and then I'll just delete it. Or talk to a friend about it. Sometimes you can just get better feedback from people around you than letting someone know that you're upset or whatever, or being passive aggressive. I wouldn't recommend that. I hope this mini episode helped you out in any way. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.